she's been there for a while, and she's just been tearing it up with great technique, excellent artistry and musicality, and we're just so thrilled that she's here today with us. So Megumi, take it away.
All right. Hey, all right. Well, thank you, International Trombone Hang, for having me over today. I'm excited to spend some time with you and then go through some stuff that really helps me in my warm up. Yeah, I hope you guys been doing good. It's been kind of a, you know, weird year, but I hope you've had a good summer and all. Yeah, the orchestra hasn't been playing since March, so I've been enjoying a lot of kind of solitary practice, and I actually been working on something kind of interesting. So I thought maybe I'll do a test run with you guys today. I'm not sure it's performable, but it's called, let's see, it's Carl Philipp Emanuel Bach Sonata, and it's arranged by Ralph Sauer. And I've been wanting to do it, but it was like, oh, it's a lot of notes. So it's written for flute, and yeah, let's do a test run and see if it's performable. If I fail, then let's delete the video.
Beautiful.
That was lovely. Thank you so much. That was awesome.
Thank you, thank you. Ah, we all need a first try somewhere, right? Got to get it out of the system. So anyway, yeah, I enjoy working on the flute pieces. Like Bach cello suites are awesome too, but I kind of tend to go for the flute pieces because there's time to breathe. You know, cello pieces are a little more like relentless, and it's like I can't breathe. So at least flute pieces you can breathe. So anyway, I'll keep working on it. Anyway, so you know, during this Corona time, another thing that I've been doing is I've been writing a method book, and it's just about to be shipped out on August 31st. The book is called Trombone Unlimited, and the idea behind this book is that we don't have any limit to our expression. We should be able to express anything we want on the trombone. But in order to do that, we also need to have a very strong foundation. So actually, Jason, do you want to share the front page of the book? Screen share? Ah, there you go. So that's what it looks like. And it's coming out of the Encore publishers, Encore Music Publishers on August 31st. So anyway, Jason, if you can go to the next page. There you go. So sorry about all the markings on it. You see my pencil markings on it. So it covers everything from, you know, like breathing, buzzing, long tones, legato, and then, you know, it goes as far as, you know, yeah, you see it all. Playing angle, octaves, evenness, lip slurs, high notes, low notes, breath attacks. That's how much we're gonna cover today. And then there's like, you know, multiple tonguing. And then I went alto trombone because there's not enough, you know, alto trombone methods out there. And then there's some trombone etudes that's like super fun to play. So anyway, I thought we will work out of like the first half of this book today for the basics. So anyway, so the first thing I do in a warm-up is, well, I guess I like to think about like, why do we warm up? Like, what is the purpose of a warm-up? And the purpose of a warm-up, I think, is to get your air to work as efficient as possible for the rest of the day. So, you know, I think trombone is really simple. At the end of the day, if the air is working well, then everything else works. But if the air doesn't work well, then nothing else is going to work. So, you know, the warm-up, the purpose of warm-up is to get your air to work most efficiently as possible. So the first thing I do every day in a warm-up is I have this thing. I call it my breathing tube. It's just like a, can you see it okay? It's a, you know, it's a plastic tube. And, you know, you just go to a hardware store and then, you know, you just buy this clear hose and then cut it into like, you know, 2-inch or maybe 2.5-inch long. And what I do is I put this between my teeth and take a breath with it, like, hey, Johan, you have one too. Yours is longer than mine. Okay, so like if I were with you all, then I would totally like give you one. But for the people who don't have the breathing tube, one of the things we can do is you can also sing the syllable ho, like ho, like ho. Let's try that. Like you're all muted, so we can't hear you. So let's just sing like ho. And can you feel like how open your throat is? Like it's really ho. It's like a O shape, you know. And you can kind of feel how like there's a column of air that comes in from like outside into your mouth. It doesn't get the throat doesn't get in the way, teeth doesn't get in the way, nothing gets in the way. And, if you don't have a breathing tube, you can say ho, and then keep the same shape and then breathe off of that, like ho. And, in a performance, you can't use a breathing tube. So a lot of times I just silently say like, and then take a breath. If you take a good breath, good things are gonna happen. So this is the very first thing I do. And then I think of a few different things as I take a breath. So one of the things I think of is to take a rhythmic breath. I think of like what is it called? High dive. If you are going diving and say, you're going to do a jump, you come down. This is the diving board. This pencil is a diving board. You come down the diving board, you kind of, jump, and then you can do your moves. But, nobody will come down like, let's just take a jump and then fall off. Then you're going to have a belly flop or you'll probably break your neck. So, trombone is kind of the same too. The breath you take is going to determine what's going to happen next. So if you take a breath that is not energetic or rhythmic, then there's no guarantee what's going to happen, when you take a breath. So, I forgot to tell you about this, like the breathing tube practice. I like to practice, when I do the breathing practice, I listen to the sound with the breathing tube, like, it's kind of a open sound, and a lot of times I hear people, like, especially as you keep playing, your throat sometimes get closed. Let me show you like what it sounds like if you do that. Like, I just made my throat more closed, and you start taking a breath like that, your sound's going to get tighter because, the throat is tight. So the way I practice with this breathing tube is I take a breath with the tube, listen to the sound, and take a breath without the tube and try to match it, like, and when the sound matches, you're taking the right kind of breath. So I forgot to tell you. Yes.
Can I interrupt you really quickly? So the tube that you're using, what is the diameter of that? Could you maybe hold it to the camera so we see about how to go to a hardware store? About
Sure.
3/4 of an inch, I think, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not an inch person. It looks like 2 centimeters to me, so whatever that is.
Okay, we can figure that out. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Dave, this is an international hang. Not everybody speaks in English.
All right. I'll stay metric. Don't worry. Sorry.
But yeah, I think you're right though. Like an inch is 2.2 centimeters, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I think it's just a little bit less than an inch.
Yeah, it looks like the inner diameter is about 3/4. So if you go to your hardware store in the United States, you look for 3/4. If you're elsewhere that's using metric, it's going to be around 2 centimeters.
Yeah, and lengthwise, like I don't know if you could see Johan. Like Johan has a really long one. Hey, yeah, and it's about the same diameter too. But the length really doesn't matter. I guess I just like it short because you can carry it in your pocket without it sticking out. So that's all. If you like it long, you can cut it long too. I just like compact for carrying purposes. So this is what I do. And then I actually think about distributing the air. Like I think of distributing 40% of the air in my abdomen, 40% of air in my back, and then I think of 20% of the air, like the leftover just goes in the chest. I don't even think about 20% in the chest. That just happens. So like if you ever watch yourself in front of the mirror, and if you're ever a type that your shoulders go up, then that means you have too much air in your chest. So you want to bring it down a little bit. So actually, do you guys want to do a breathing exercise that, I think really helps? Well, let's stand up and, okay, so what I want you to do is, I want you to put your hand around your waist so you can feel your stomach and the back, okay? And then when you take a breath, it's a lot easier to get the right distribution when you bend over 90 degrees. Like upright is sometimes hard. So we're gonna bend over 90 degrees, and then I want you to feel how like the abdomen and the back expands. I don't know if you always think of the back. It's like surprisingly it expands when you're 90 degrees bent over. Let's take a few breaths with 90 degrees bent over. Can you feel your back and abdomen expanding? That's like your main source, right? And then the chest is just like, you don't even think about it. It's kind of like, it may expand, you know? So, okay, so now we're gonna try this 45 degrees. Okay, 90 degrees is super easy to do. And 45 degrees is gonna get a little harder, but we should be able to do it still. Let's bend over 45 degrees and see if we can still do it, okay? Is it about the same, or is it getting a little more challenging? Is it pretty decent for you still? All right, so then the third, yeah?
Yeah,
Is it okay?
it's less, I think, as I come up more. It's
Yeah.
a little, I can feel that, yeah.
Yeah, it becomes a little more challenging, but our goal is gonna be to like get our 90 degrees expansion into the upright position. So now let's do the most challenging one. We're gonna be upright, and then we're gonna try to move that, distribute the air the same way we were at 90 degrees, okay? So. So it might have been successful for some of you. It might have been a little bit difficult for some of you, but that's definitely an exercise that would really help you to like use your air really efficiently. I guess I'm all about efficiency because I'm kind of short. So I have no space to waste the air. So I got to be as efficient as possible. So imagine if you're tall and you did this. Wow, that'd be amazing. Okay, so that's another exercise sometimes I do, like when I feel like tension is creeping into the chest. So that's something you can do. So anyway, oh yeah, so Jason, you actually had like a screen share of the breathing thing. Okay, so I use this pattern. And actually, not just that I inhale, but another thing I try to do is before I inhale, I slightly exhale, like with that three-quarter rest, because if you suddenly inhale, you are starting cold turkey, and that's going to make your sound cold. When you exhale before you inhale, you're just riding a train that's already moving, and you're just jumping on it. So then it actually gives you a really nice warm sound. So it doesn't have to be like a fancy exhale. It can be very casual, but you just want to like kind of move your air before the inhale starts. So when I do this exercise, I'll go like, I should get like a metronome on so we can all breathe together. Let's see. Come on, metronome. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a good tempo. All right. So let's follow the metronome and do a couple of exercises thinking that. And then when we inhale, we want to have that energy like diving off of a diving board. Okay. So here we go. Here we go. So 1, 2, 3. Exactly. So even when there is a rest, it doesn't mean our air stops there. The air needs to be constantly moving. So when there's a rest, I'm just like slowly exhaling there. So air is constantly in motion. Okay, so that's the first thing I do. And then let's go to the next page. Now, this is an exercise that I've never ever skipped in my lifetime since, well, it's a long story. I got injured in college, and then I was, to a point that I couldn't hold a note at all. And I took 2 months off from the trombone, and I still couldn't hold a note. But actually, this is the practice that brought me back to playing the trombone again. And what this practice does is it teaches you efficient air and a good embouchure setup. So if you get my book, then it explains like all the different steps and options and customizations you can do with this book. But today we're just gonna like, I think we'll just pick like middle of the road pattern. And then, it kind of involves flutter tongue. If you can't flutter tongue, don't worry about it. We'll just, skip that step. But what I do is first I get a mouthpiece off, and then I flutter tongue these 3 B flats like this, like. And I'm hardly re-articulating. I'm focusing on the air that drives through this. So what the flutter tongue is doing, and if you don't do flutter tongue, don't worry about it. Like if you read the book, there are like other options that you can use. But I'm using flutter tongue here just as a different option. What it does is it makes your air more compact and fast. So it makes you rely on your air instead of your lips. Okay, so the lips are only there to vibrate. The lips should not be carrying any weight. So when you play the trombone, a lot of times, you can have a really messed up embouchure and you can still get a good note. But when you buzz, unless you have a good embouchure and good air speed, like it can really sound bad. Like, let me show you, like I'll buzz the mouthpiece with like slow air. Hear that shake? It's bad. Yeah. And then, so then now I'm going to give the mouthpiece, I'm going to give it more core, like, so there is a difference. There's a big difference in the air. When you just play on the trombone, you can sort of fake it sometimes, and the same thing with like, the embouchure setup too. Like you can sort of play the trombone when you pull the corners to the side, but you really can't do that when you buzz. When you buzz, what I want you to think about is not pull the corners to the side, but instead I want you to think about like a drawstring coming out of your nose. Okay, there's a muscle that goes around your lips right here, and it's called orbicularis oris. And I think of like the drawstring going around here, and then you tie it right here, so the corners are kind of down and in. Yeah. And that way, it's like you got more lips, the lips will be a little more like cushier, and then it will be able to like vibrate better. Like if you pull the corners to the side, your lips are going to be very flat, and it's going to give you a pinch sound. Your lips don't have enough meat to vibrate, So, yes, Jason.
Megumi, I believe Johan might have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, go for it, Johan.
No, it was no question. It's fantastic that someone says this. I always told this to my students.
Yes.
This kind of free buzzing, and it was only a
thumbs up.
Yes. Thank you, Johan. Thank you. I mean, it really does work, it really works. And that way, you don't get tired because you're not relying on your lips. There's also another muscle that comes down, so there's this orbicularis oris that goes around here. There are 2 muscles that pulls the orbicularis oris down. It's called depressor angular oris. And you want to pull that down, and that way your lips are really free. So, you can also do this in like free buzz too, but I'm just going to go for like, let's do flutter tongue on mouthpiece is step 1, and then step 2 is going to be just like mouthpiece, and then we're going to go to trombone. And the goal is throughout step 1, 2, and 3, we're going to keep the same setup, of, same embouchure and the same airspeed. And this is like, hands down, my favorite exercise. I've never, skip it. So, okay, so I'm going to get the metronome going, and I will play one measure, and then I want you to follow me, and then I'm just going to choose step 1 to be with a flutter tongue. So if you don't flutter tongue, let's just do like regular mouthpiece buzzing, but try to get that big sound, like that kind of sound that has a core, not like this, not weak and shaky sound. Okay, so let's give this a try. So here we go. Oh, sorry, I was supposed to flutter tongue. We'll do it again. Sorry, I was off on the pitch. Darn it. Okay, we'll keep going. Go. Good. And are you keeping the same airspeed? It should make your sound really, really solid. So we'll keep going. While we're doing this, I only do 1 octave. You want to stay at a very comfortable range when you do this exercise. And you don't want to do more than 5 minutes. Just do this exercise and be done. Okay, so next. Good, and keep focusing on that air support. one. Very good. Gosh, I got off on the tuning again. Okay, so you got to listen to the tuning. All right, so this is the exercise that I never skip every day. So let's see what else I wrote. Oh, so the next one we have long tones. Let's move on to long tones, Jason. Okay, so the long tones. There are two things I think of doing, like when I play long tones. One of the things is that notes should always have direction. A note should never stay in one place. So I often think of, like, there is an eighth note particle that lives in the whole note. And each eighth note particles can't wait to go to the next moment. So it's like la da 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 dee 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 dee. So B flat wants to go to A wants to go to B flat, and it always has direction. So that's one of the things I think of when I do this long tone exercise. Another thing I think of is the slide cleanliness and slide timing. So one of the things that I think really differentiates like a really sophisticated trombone player and a good trombone player is how cleanly can you move your slide. So a common thing that I see is that, especially when you go from say 1 to 6 position, it's far away, and then you feel like you don't have, you have to hurry up and go to the next note. So if you start moving the slide too early and the next note doesn't start till here, and then you start moving here, there is this, space that something is going to happen. And what is going to happen? A glissando is going to happen, So when you practice this piece, I think of wait till the last minute. It's like playing chicken, It's like the truck is coming. You're just going to stay there till the last minute until you think it's too late, and then you move, especially the outer positions can be really challenging to get that timing. So one of the ways I think of is, the eighth note subdivision. If you subdivide in eighth notes, you can't move to the next note too early. Like say, you have to wait, if you subdivide. So if you have trouble, if you hear yourself getting a glissando, you can subdivide that way. Or another way of practicing is say on the second line, you see F and 6, E and 7th. You can also practice that in first position and second position and try to compare, the transition between the notes and sound quality and pitch, and make sure you can't tell the difference. Like, so that's a good way to practice too. So those are the main two things that I think of doing. Should we give it a try? It's only 8 measures. So let's think of giving each note a good direction. It always needs to go somewhere. So I'll play 3 notes, the 3 measures, and then you play 3 measures, and then I'll play the next 3 measures, and then you'll play the next 3 measures. So here, all right, here, okay. Good. And then you can keep going on to the lower notes too, but we have a lot of material to get through, so we're going to skip the next part. So let's go on to the next exercise. Now, I call this exercise the Alumiente Exercise. So what it does is, like, I feel like trombone players in general, we are better. Hello. We are getting a phone call. Let's hang up on this. Oh my gosh. Ah, shut up, phone. Ah. All right. Sorry about that. All right.
Sorry, before we go on, I think there's a quick question one person has. Joe, did you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question? He's talking about the last exercise.
Hi, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, totally.
So when you're doing the long jumps, right?
Yes.
Are you gripping tighter with your left hand in certain cases?
Let's see. I probably not. Let me just check, okay?
Not at all?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, you know, it's like if you grip it tight, it's gonna show in your sound.
Mm.
So I would try to, like, you know, really practice, like, you know, first position, and then you're gonna be completely relaxed when you do that. And then try to transfer everything, like, you know, the right hand movement, left hand movement, how it sounds. You know, the note transition, no matter what position you use, it needs to be like as easy as a euphonium. You know, just push down the buttons. Yeah. So
okay.
Tension is, or like, you know, gripping hard usually brings trouble.
That's really good. I thought maybe the opposite, because of the long jump to secure the trombone, you know, you grip it tighter so it doesn't shake around. And so that's interesting. It's something to go for.
Yeah. When in doubt, it's always good to stay relaxed.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Good. All right, so then, okay, so this next exercise. So I like this exercise, and I named it Alumiente, which means disappear into nothing. So I feel like trombone players, you know, we in general, we are good at making crescendos, but we're not, a lot of times, not as good as making at making decrescendos, and especially disappearing into nothing can be really challenging for us. So a lot of times we, you know, like when we see pianissimo or disappear into nothing, what we do is we slow our air down too much, and the end of the notes become like cut off. So does the air slow down when we play softer? Maybe a little bit, but it's not nearly as much as we think. So in order to have like a note that disappears into nothing, the airspeed, you know, the air needs to be a little more compact, but it still needs to have a good forward motion. And you also need to like blow even when the note is gone. You have to blow beyond the note. So like, let's see, I'll show you like. So at the end, all you hear is a little bit of air. So I think as trombone players, this is like something that is gonna bring up our expression level. I named it Alumiente practice, and our purpose is to practice disappearing into nothing without any bumps. Okay, so to do that, it takes tremendous air support. It's just more compact, but it needs to want to go forward and have direction. So let's do this practice. So I will play. I'll do the first, 4 measures. Then I want you to do the next 4 measures, And what we are going for is the end of the note, and how can we taper it into nothing is our goal. So let's see, we'll get the metronome going. Good. And then we have a ton more. We can play them all, but you kind of get the idea. Yeah, we got a lot to cover, so I'm going to keep moving. Okay, so let's go on to the next exercise. But I think this is really a skill that is going to elevate our playing. You know, like trombone players, it's just going to make us more of an artist to be able to disappear into nothing when we play. So, all right. Oh, legato tonguing. Okay, so this is kind of fun. So, so we're just gonna try this. The exercise that's at the top. Now, this exercise, the challenge is the first two measures are very easy because it's all in first position. Going to be 1 and 2, and then it's going to be 1 and 3, and then 1 and 4, 1 and 5, and then 1, 6, and 1, 7. Okay, and we need to make it sound just as easy and just as smooth and just as clean as the first two measures. So this could be kind of fun. So let's see what tempo will be good. This could be a good tempo, and maybe a little slower. So let's give this a try. I'll play the first two measures, and then you can follow, and then I'll play the next two measures. right. So as it got like further away, I think maybe you kind of had to think the same thing we did in the long tones, to not move too early, to, you know, in order to keep it like just as clean as the first two measures. And, you know, it gets a little difficult to like stay relaxed, you know, as relaxed as the first two measures. So that's a good practice for legato tonguing. So, oh, and then let's go to the next page. Now, this is another exercise that I never skip. And usually my students, they work on this exercise for like 2 years before they can graduate this. I think this exercise, I love it because it changes the way you address phrases. Okay, so one of the things that I think about in this, I call it the octave exercise. So when there's a low note and the high note, a lot of times we like to focus on the high note. It's like, here comes the high note. But that makes the phrase sound like this. Like if I were singing, it's like the, you know, it becomes kind of, you know, forced. So when you go to a high note, actually the important part is not the high note, but the note that is before that. Like I often think of a trampoline. If you want to jump high on a trampoline, you sink into the trampoline and it just shoots you up with no effort, right? So this exercise is kind of that way too. Like I put a tenuto on the first note, meaning sink into the first note. The high note, it should be effortless. Just lift it up. It's kind of like a good singer doing like a falsetto. You know, I wish I could demonstrate, but I can't. My voice, you know, but it's like flipping your voice like ta, you know, kind of like that. So so that's one of the most important things I think of on this. There's another thing I'm thinking, but it's kind of a hornet's nest. But, you know, sometimes most of us are, we angle down when we play. So, but then when we go to the higher notes, a lot of time we like to put too much pressure on that top lip, which makes your sound really cloudy. So when you go to a higher note, you may want to angle down or think of blowing downwards. Unless you're like an upstream player, then you do the opposite. But when I play this, you know, if you would take a look at my mouthpiece, it goes like. By doing that, I'm, you know, letting my upper lip vibrate better, so it's going to give you a better high note. So let me show you, like in sixth position, what I want it to sound like. And then between the notes, it just needs to be really well supported with air, like. So the high note needs to be lifted up, and then I want it to sound just as easy as flipping a switch on and off without any junk between the two notes. Okay? In order to do that, you have to blow through the first note to the very end and not move to the next note too early. So this practice, it may take a really long time to get it really right. But it's a really great exercise that translates into anything we play. But the main thing is, it's not the high note that we need to focus. It's the low note that we need to blow through in order to get a good high note. So, another thing I think of is like when you go to a high note, sometimes, you know, we miss it because we're too open. You know, like in the middle range, a lot of times we go like ta, but on a higher note, we want to make our oral cavity a little smaller. So you want to go like ta, and that makes the high note more like, it's going to come out better. Okay, so the syllables can be ta, as we play this. Okay, so let's give it a try. I'll play two measures, and then you can play two measures. So we'll start on seventh position. good. I just found the misprint. Oh well. Second position is not A flat. Anyway, so anyway, that's that. Okay, so then maybe we'll skip a bunch. Let's go to a page that says evenness in all registers. Let's see. Yes, that exercise. I like this exercise because well, the opening is pretty easy. You know, you get to do it in slur and then without slur. And a lot of times we are good at one of them, but not as good in another. So the first half, the goal is going to be to blow through the notes the same when it's slurred and when it's not slurred. And then midway through, you see a challenge where we are not going to use the 7th position anymore, but we are going into the trigger position. So that is going to take a lot of air to make that sound good. So in this exercise, I want you to listen to like evenness, like do you sound really good on the high note? Do you sound really good on the low note? You know, so try to make it sound all very even. So let's give this a try. All right. So I'll play 4 measures and then you do the next 4 measures. Good. So I think you found that when we went into the trigger, it takes a lot more like focused and a lot more air support to make it sound good. So I like this practice a lot too. So I see that we are way over time, and I only got through like less than half of the stuff we were gonna do. Darn it. But I think I should be respectful of your time and probably stop here.
Well,
Yeah.
Megumi, we'll just have to have you back at some point.
Well, that sounds good. Yeah.
Maybe we could do, volume 2,
Yeah.
the gripping conclusion,
That sounds good. Yeah, the book is really like full of, probably like 5 years worth of fun. So it's gonna take a long time to get through, but so that was like the very introductory part of the book. So yeah, if you wanna learn more, I had like a bunch of lip slur patterns too, breath attacks, low notes, all kinds of stuff. But sorry, I did a bad job pacing. So
It's fine. Could you tell us where we can get this book? Because I'm very very interested in this.
yes, actually, Jason, do you think you can screen share? There's like a
Yes.
there is a page that let's see. There you go. Those are the things we were gonna do.
Oh, right.
Yeah. There it is. Okay, so encoremupub.com.
Okay.
So if you go there, then you will see all the information.
And is this going to be a download, or is it a physical book, or is it?
It's a physical book. It's about 170 pages of fun. So it'll be a lot of fun. So yeah, really, you will not lack any practice for the next 5 years. Anyway,
Megumi,
yes.
but there was one question that came up in the chats, and it has to do you know, and it might be more applicable to perhaps people with a shorter arm reach, but
Yes.
when you are going out to seventh position, if you're having to like extremely reach, there sometimes is maybe some shifting with the mouthpiece. How do you kind of deal? How do you work through that?
Okay, so so I'm kind of in that category too, like the real short people category. So seventh position is a pain in the neck for me too. So what I do is, you know, if you extend the slide to the right side, so instead of going straight, if you go like to the right, you can add another inch to your arm reach. So, but then how you want to face right? Like if you just shift your instrument to the right, then the mouthpiece is gonna, you know, shift. So you wanna like start moving from your waist. You wanna shift from your waist up so you don't mess up your face. So you know, this is the pivot point. The waist is the pivot point. Go to the right and you'll get an extra inch. So yeah, so you know, if I'm 5'4", so if you're like 5'4", you'll be able to handle that. If you're much shorter than that, then you're gonna have to talk to the Japanese girls. They have like an amazing skill. They put a ribbon on the slide and they throw it and then they fetch it back like an artwork.
So Nikki Abissi
Yeah.
invented this thing. You know about it? The extender.
Yeah.
They got
Yeah,
that
so
too.
that's something too. Yeah, maybe I should get my hands on it.
Well, and actually, yeah, like sack butts, like 400 years ago, you know,
Yeah.
like those like bass sack butts, they used to have the little handle that you could put.
Yeah.
So I think Nikki's is a, you know, like a similar design to that. That, you know, that or triggers, you know, seem to be,
Yeah.
you know, eventually you kind of default to that. But.
Yeah. But if you're like 5'4" or so, then you can still do it without the tools. I think if you're much shorter than that, then yeah.
And
Then
if you're
yeah.
sorry, if you're in the orchestra and you're seated and there's
Yeah.
somebody next to you, I'm assuming you just kind of like scooch forward in your chair and kind of get your hips maybe angled a little to the left.
Oh yeah. I always
That you're still kind of facing somewhat forward.
exactly. And I warned the trumpet player, you know, it's like, I'm coming. Get ready. I'll be invading your space. Yes. Is there any other questions?
Yes, I have two questions.
Yes.
The first one is about breathing. We did this like this, and you talked about support in the Alumiente exercise and with the trigger. Do you emphasize any feelings about this support from here, or is it only having inhale and get the air, do something?
Yeah. That's a good point. Actually, you know, I guess I do think of supporting from my abdomen. You know, when I play extremely soft, you know, so support with the abdomen and then also give the air some direction, and then you can, you know, ride the air. You have the freedom to be as soft as possible.
And it's the reverse movement from this.
Yeah. It's kind of like anchored down kind of a feel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Because in this session we don't talk about that, but I think it's very important because it's the other half of the breathing.
Yeah, true. Yes.
And the other, what's for me interesting, because I landed in Germany, you said that's a hornet's nest to have the upper lip.
Yeah.
Feel free in the higher register.
Yes.
Why is it not an idea to have the upper lip vibrate freely the whole time?
Yeah. It is. Well, I said it's a hornet's nest because there's, you know, most people, the upper lip is the main vibration source, but there's about maybe 1 or 2% people that the lower lip is the main vibration source. So, you know, just in case there was a lower lip vibration source person here, then I did not want to like cause confusion. But you know, as we play higher, the upper lip becomes even more of a vibration source for, like, you know, for a downstream like most people. So for most people, it's like as you go higher, you want to angle the mouthpiece kind of down or blow downwards in order for the upper lip to be able to vibrate freely.
Yes, of course. But my thing is,
Yes.
when we play in the low register,
Yes.
we have more pressure from the mouthpiece on our main vibrating lip.
Yes, yes.
Why we
yes.
do? Why we want to do? Let the lip vibrate only in the high register. So
Yes, you know
have this kind of angle as low as possible to have the most efficiency on vibration.
Yes, yes. So that part we skipped because I was a little bit short on time. But as you go lower, the lower lip becomes a little more of a vibration source for most people. So as you go lower, like there's an exercise that goes like. You see, I kind of angled up to free the lower lip. You know, on the lower notes, the lower lip becomes more of a vibration source. So on a lower note, you want to like blow up or angle up the mouthpiece a little bit.
Okay.
Yes. So and that actually enables like equal pressure on all registers. You know, lower, when you play low, the lower jaw comes out a little bit. So if you don't angle up, you get too much pressure on the lower lip. So then you can't vibrate on the lower lip. And then when you play high, the lower jaw comes in naturally. So if you keep it straight, then you have too much pressure on the top lip. You know, so that's why angling down on the higher notes is a good thing, and then angling up on the lower note is a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, sorry, ran out of time, so I skipped that part. So it was like
but that is fantastic teaching. That is fantastic teaching of technical aspects of trombone playing, which is not as common as it should.
Yes.
So
thank you. Oh, thank you, Johan. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right.
Can I just ask a question about free buzzing? How is there like too much free buzzing that you can do, or like is there a limit of like when you say what do you experience with that? Does it change the sound, or what is it?
I say for free buzzing, even if you're like a really strong player, I say no more than 2 or 3 minutes a day. You know, free buzzing is a really, really powerful tool. It's going to get your embouchure really, really set. I mean, you know, it's very, very strenuous. It will get your air really fast. If your air is not efficient, you can't really free buzz, you know? See, that was really slow air. It doesn't even vibrate. The air needs to be really supporting. But it's very strenuous. So I would say just 2 or 3 minutes, and more as like a reminder of how you want to move your air, how you want to settle your embouchure. You know, it can make your sound a little too tight and introduce some tension if you do too much, is what I found.
Okay, thank you. It's something I've kind of started really exploring a lot in the last, few weeks. Yeah. And I had great progress with it. It's really, really wonderful. But I'm curious what you're, I
do it every day too. And actually the exercise that we all did it together, there are different ways of doing it. And, in the example you saw too, it said free buzz. And actually I do free buzz for that exercise, and that's really effective for me. But that's the only time I do free buzz, so that's about 2 or 3 minutes. Yeah, wonderful effects. Yeah, but I don't do it with high school kids. It may be a little too much for them. Yes.
So I just wanted to say thank you for doing this, Megumi.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I wanted to give my endorsement for your exercises on efficiency and sound production. That's probably the thing that I've been most impressed with sitting next to you in the orchestra, and I've learned most from is just how efficient your playing is, and I think your sound production ideas are terrific. So I just want to also say congratulations on the book.
Thank you. What a great colleague Kirk is. Thank you, Kirk. Thank you, Kirk. Gosh, and Kirk helped me a lot with the book too. So, awesome. Thank you, Kirk, very
A
much.
lot of field testing, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, this has been fantastic. It's so wonderful.
Yeah.
Hear some of your insight and kind of get a chance to see how the sausage was made, as they say. I mean, anybody that's heard your playing knows that the product is fantastic, and it's great to get a little bit behind the curtain to see like what goes into it.
Yeah.
Teo, who's one of the other organizers, he always says the phrase, we all cook with water. And to some extent, I think that that's true, but everyone has their own interpretations and their own versions and personalities and habits. And it's wonderful to just get this really rich diversity of approaches. And so thank you so much for sharing that with us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for coming. And I hope there were some things, some ideas that you can use in the future. All right.
One more thing here. Oh, thank you, Brandon. Yeah. So for those of you that, are, ITH regulars, you know all this stuff, but we have some other sessions that are coming up. If you go to the website, it'll actually list the dates and the little info flyers that we send out. That's all kind of posted there. So you can see what's kind of coming around the bend. We've got some great sessions coming up. Kirk Ferguson's actually going to be doing one as well. And Kirsten Warfield, who was here earlier, she's going to be doing a session early September. It's going to be fantastic. So, stay tuned and share the information with your friends and colleagues. And we hope to see you at the hang. So if you got any questions for Megumi or us, just feel free to shoot us an email and we'll channel it in the appropriate ways. So thanks everybody for coming.
Cool.
All right. Bye.
Thank you so much. Be well. Be safe.